Do all my back color. Oh, dude, yeah. Put some down here like this.
Logan, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
You can hear me. Okay. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was just going to run through because that was awesome. So here's what we're going to do. It'll be me and Danielle. We'll go to you for a minute on the conditions, and then you can toss to the player soundbite to give them time to repurpose the interview you just did. So after the player soundbite, you'll send it back up to me. Okay. But I still think we do.
Okay.
So I guess the question is, do we want to run that whole interview
Should you just toss to me because I introduced?
I'm good with that if we want.
It's up to you guys, but do you think you should just toss to me because I kind of introduced everyone at the start of that?
Okay, let's reset it, Jeb. It'll be me and Danielle. We'll do our thing. We'll toss to Logan. She'll do something about the conditions and hear from the players. Then she'll toss it back to me. Danielle and I will do our thing, talk about Cam going to be here.
Good job.
Then I'm going to toss it directly to the Logan interview. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yep. Yep.
Perfect. Do you need me to call you?
Yeah.
everybody. Welcome to the Panthers on the Plus playoff pregame special. I'm Nick Carboni here with Danielle Stein. Our co-host Logan Campbell is down on the field at Bank of America Stadium. We've had all sorts of special episodes of Panthers on the Plus leading through this playoff push, but the Panthers are here back in the playoffs for the first time in 8 years. No episode more special than this. We've got a lot planned, a lot of special guests, Danielle.
18 weeks, all leading up to this. It's a place that the Panthers haven't been in nearly a decade. Since 2015, they did a playoff game back here at the Bank. 2017, their last playoff run. So the city, the fan base has been craving this for so long. You can see the energy is just palpable as you're walking across Charlotte these days. But we just heard the announcement. They just opened the doors outside. We got the music going. We have Usher coming in to usher the guys in, if you will. And yeah, it's going to be a great day for everyone.
Yeah, fans are about to be flowing here behind us. The gates have just opened. The party has been on Mint Street for hours. The party is on at the Roaring Riot tailgate where Cam Newton is. We are going to see some of those images soon, but we want to send it to our co-host Logan Campbell down on the field. Logan, first thing I noticed walking in, it's a windy day. These conditions are not perfect.
Hey Nick, yeah, no, it is absolutely windy. I will say it is a little bit more windy outside of the stadium than in here, but still, these are not ideal conditions to play a football game in. Pierre, I don't know if you can show them and zoom in on one of the field goal posts, but the flags have been flying all day inside here on field level. You can see on top of the stadium, they're also moving at a fairly fast pace, so wind will for sure have an effect today. I'm not sure about the rain. That's probably going to come rolling through in a little bit, but if you remember, this happened the first time that the Rams and the Panthers played, so you know this might be in the favor of the Panthers, but regardless, rain or shine, the fans are going to show out. 75,000 people are expecting to fill the stands, and deservedly so, because this is the first time that there's been playoff football in Charlotte. Former players have been down here on the field. Everyone is buzzing to have playoff football in January at home. So are some of the guys inside of the locker room.
That's something that they deserve, just like, you know, we had to work for it. I mean, that's one of those things that, you know, we want to be able to get back to the city and be able to have these moments and be able to have them continuously.
It's a big moment, and I'm excited to see everybody that, you know, that pull up. You know, hopefully they pack out the game. It's a crazy atmosphere, and it's going to be fun.
It's starting to feel like college. You know, I played in the SEC, man, and I'm excited to see the community, man, and the fans, everybody just, you know, wrap around us and, you know, give us that love and support, man, because it means a lot, bro. When you can make somebody jump off sides and it's 3rd and 15 on 3rd down, man, that means the world to a defense. So, man, we need them. We need them a lot this week, especially for a quarterback like Matthew Stafford.
Nick, I also want to add, it is a little bit muggy down here. The wind is starting to pick up as we speak, so we'll just have to see how this one plays out for the Panthers.
All right, yeah, anything that can help the Panthers today, Danielle, they're 10.5-point underdogs.
Yeah.
That makes the Rams at least tied for the biggest road favorite in NFL playoff history. Carolina beat them 6 weeks ago, but I know this crowd's going to be fired up, so maybe that'll help.
There's so many reasons to be fired up. Of course, being a playoff game, just watching this team, they've been so fun, but there's a very special person who brings people in their seats, and really no one can do that like Cam Newton can. He's been, you know, a fixture in this city for so long. The fans adore him. He has made his way back, and it really feels like the organization did right by the fans by inviting him to hit the keep pounding drum pregame. He's going to be sounding the drum at 4 o'clock. They've been really saying you don't want to miss it, but he's making a whole day out of it too. He's been over at the Roaring Riot tailgate. He's doing his podcast 4th and 1 over there. It's 4 hours long. So yeah, Cam is really making himself back at home here in Charlotte. And again, he's the one who brought them to a Super Bowl run, a couple of playoff appearances as well too. So for him to be back in this moment, it just feels pretty surreal for the fans, I'm sure.
10 individual starting quarterbacks have started for the Panthers between playoff appearances. Cam Newton, he lasted a few more years here before he went up to New England and ultimately is no longer playing. I think the lack of official retirement has been what's led to some of the miscommunication, led to some sensitivities. That's why Cam hasn't come back. This is the perfect time for that to happen. I know we're going to be over at that tailgate in a few minutes. But yeah, in that time, they've also had 5 head coaches, including interim coaches. This is the Panthers' first playoff appearance since Cam led them to a wild card round in 2017. team narrowly missed the division championship back in 2015. That was the last home playoff game. What a moment that was against the Cardinals in that NFC championship win. Hopefully they can deliver some moments here today, but we do want to hear from another former Panthers quarterback who is joining us here on Panthers on the Plus as Logan Campbell just caught up with both Eugene Robinson and Jake Delhomme.
Nearly a decade, and two guys that know a thing or two about winning in Charlotte are with me now, Jake Delhomme and Eugene Robinson. Guys, we have playoff football back in Charlotte. How are you feeling?
Well, we were just laughing about it. We're giddy about it. This is what it's supposed to be. We were very lucky. We had a good run in my time here in Charlotte, and this is why you play the game. You play for these moments, and certainly you don't think of January weather being warm like this, but that's all right. You know, it's you feel it driving into the stadium a little while ago. You just you felt it, and gosh, that's what we were missing, and it's good to be back.
And tell me about the fans too, because during your time it was crazy. What do you see now?
I think the biggest thing, I think Charlotte doesn't get enough of a reputation as being a strong home crowd. It's loud in here. These fans are great. They're very passionate. They're smart football fans, and that we had a huge home field advantage when we played here. And I know in the mid 2000s, in 2000 the teens, with you had the Lukes and the Cams and the Gregs and the Thomases. This was a huge home field advantage. And so today, I kind of felt it toward the end of the season. Then I think today it's going to be very loud, and the louder we get, it can affect that offense, because we need that offense to be affected at some point.
No doubt about that. It's been loud the last two home games. I'm sure the fans are going to show up for this one. You know, this is a high-pressure game. The first time that Bryce Young has played at this caliber in his professional career. As a guy who's been in this position before, what is some advice that you would give him?
Well, I think the biggest thing, and getting to know him over the last few years, just be yourself. I don't think his pulse gets too elevated in big moments. And I watched him religiously in college, you know, playing in the SEC. I've seen him play against LSU with 100,000 people at Neyland Stadium, late games. The kid's eyes never get too big, and Eugene can say that from a safety. You want to watch, you know when there's nervousness. You don't see that with Bryce. And I think with the 12 comeback victories that he has so far with us in Carolina, he has that clutch gene, and he has that gene. So if we can get a close game, I feel confident he'll do very well. Playoffs or not, I mean, this you prepare, and that you prepare a certain way, and you feel ready to play. And I know for a fact he has prepared himself just fine for this game.
And lastly, I want to get into a question. What about seizing the moment? I always said that when the interception comes your way, you got to get it at this juncture. When that fumble, you got to get it. You can't leave things on the table.
You can't, and it's funny, Luke always talks about it in the radio booth, and it's true. Where's my closers? Who's closing the game? Be it a running back, be it an offensive lineman, a defensive back. Derek Brown closed the game the first time. He closed the game. Who's our closer? You got to be able to close the game. And so that's why you play these games, right? Don't be superhuman. Just be you and your preparation, and trust it. And when it's time to make a play, you make a play. That's why legends are made. Your name, you get cemented in history when you do things, especially in the playoffs.
If you had to take a guess, who you think is going to be that guy that steps up and make that legendary play today?
I'm going to be very honest, and I believe this in the bottom of my heart. I think Chuba Hubbard is going to have a huge football game. I'm hopeful we can really run the football against them. I think Rico's going to have a good game, but there's something about, I saw Chuba the last time. I rewatched that last game 3 times this week, last time we played him. I think his body's really good right now. I think he was hurt earlier in the season, and for some reason, something's telling me Chuba Hubbard's going to be that guy today for us.
And Eugene, for you defensively, what have you seen from the defensive side of the ball that's really grown over the last few months?
I think the defensive line has been incredible. I think Derek Brown is one of the best players that we've seen in decades. He's just that good, and I really think he makes that defense go. And the back end of the secondary, when we got Mike Jack and we got JC, I think we are in very, very good hands. So I really believe that we match up really well against this team.
I think so, but I think we got to run the football. I think we got to keep, Stafford's gifted, right? Devontae's back, Puka's outstanding, Higbee, the tight end's back. If we can keep them off the field. They only had 3 possessions the first time we played them in the second half. Mm-hmm. That would be a great, great key to victory for us today. Keep that offense away from the field.
Yeah, indeed.
And speaking about keeping them off the field and having the run game going, Robert Hunt is back for the first time since week 2. How huge is that for the offense?
It's huge, and I have a smile on my face when you say his name. I've gotten to know him since he was 18 years old. We went to the same college. I've been knowing him for a long time. This guy loves football, and he's a large, massive human human being. This is a big road grader. You know, offensive linemen, sometimes we refer to them as dancing bears. They're these big animals, but they're so nimble. But getting someone like him back will be, I think it's going to be critical for us. I think he can move people. When we break the huddle, I think that's an advantage for us with our offensive line. I think we're very big because I think that Rams defense is very good rushing the passer. Against the run, hopefully we can lean on them.
Eugene, how do they stop Puka and Matthew Stafford? I know they did it one time, but how do you do that twice?
I think it's really hard to stop those. You got to limit what they do. Pressure on the quarterback is key. Hands up in the face of the quarterback, but you got to really move the quarterback off this spot and make him reset so that when he looks at his first option, he has to reset. Can't go to the first option. That has to look second and third option. Those guys, Devontae Adams and Puka, are incredible, but I really believe that we match up well against them. So this is going to be a really good, interesting game, and I'm looking for some interceptions from the secondary.
No doubt about it.
I hope so.
Yeah, no, we need that, right? And Stafford doesn't throw many, and we had a couple last time in a fumble, so that's going to be critical. This is a good football team we're playing today. They are very, very good. So we need to take advantage. You know, we need to play very, very clean, and we need to cause them to have some problems.
You know, I would say this kind of lastly. I mean, when I was playing with the Green Bay Packers, my first introduction to Green Bay Packers, when I'm down there, we're about to play the Philadelphia Eagles, and our defensive coordinator was showing us this film about how great they was. I stood up, nobody knows me. I stood up in the middle of the meeting and said, "Turn that off, turn it off." I said, "Turn off the film." He turns off the film. He said, "Why?" I said, "Look, don't show me how good they are. I already know they're good. I know Puka's good. I know Devontae Adams good. I know Stafford's good. Show me when they were vulnerable. Show me when they messed up. Show me when it was interception. Show me that film." I said, "I got plenty of film and I can show you." And I said, because that film will tell me a lot. The time they were vulnerable, last when they were vulnerable, when they were here back in American Stadium.
Absolutely. Got to make them uncomfortable. I know you got to run, but I want to ask you really fast. First time that playoff football is back in Charlotte in nearly a decade. What are you looking forward to the most?
I just think the crowd. You know, I think this city, I think they're great fans. They really and truly are, and they're dying for a winner. And I think there's some, and I call them old heads on this team, and they're not old, but like Derek Brown, the J.C. Horns, the guys who have been around. He's been through some lean years. Just the excitement. I mean, this is a great fan base that just doesn't get talked about enough. And I'll be very, very honest. I mean, when Cam Newton walks out to bang that drum, this place is going to go nuts.
Crazy.
This place is going to go nuts, and because they appreciate him, they appreciate what he did, and certainly all those guys playing today, they were young kids watching this freak of nature play football, right? And so I'm just looking forward to this day, and hopefully we can have a good showing.
What about you?
I'm looking for a good game defensively. I'm a defensive guy, and I'm looking for pressure on the quarterback. I'm looking for interceptions, fumbles. I'm looking for make sure that you dot the I's, cross the T's, make the tackles. You can't leave anything out there on the field. If you do, that team is too good. They'll beat you.
No doubt about it. Jake, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. Nick, back to you.
Such an awesome interview from Logan right there with Jake Lum, friend of the show. I know you had him on Panthers on the Plus.
That's his second appearance on Panthers on the Plus. We're rolling this first season.
Yeah, really cool. And, you know, all these former quarterbacks just being back here in Charlotte for this game. Of course, guys, not just quarterbacks too, but a lot of familiar faces that fans are coming to know and love. No one larger than life, though, than Cam Newton. Of course, he is here. Once again, we said he had the Roaring Riot tailgate bumping earlier today. And if anyone likes to party, it's WCNC's Walker Lawson. We got him live right now to talk a little bit more about what Cam was doing over here in Charlotte today.
Yeah, guys, well, I mean, let's first talk about this excitement out here. It hasn't been this electric in the city of Charlotte in a long time. I feel like fans have kind of been waiting for this moment. I'm going to step out of the way, let you guys see behind me. You have thousands, hundreds, thousands of fans out here today, excited, filling the area, a sea of blue, black, and white. And again, as we mentioned, Cam Newton returning to the Queen City today. He had a special that he did here with his podcast, Fourth and First, where he brought out Carolina Panthers fans that said they haven't been this excited since the last time we went to the playoffs. Now, the big thing is, thinking about the last time we went back to the playoffs, how much has life changed? That's one of the biggest things. When I went out and talked to people, they said last time we were in the playoffs, they were in college. They now are married, have kids. And so there are also kids that they're bringing out that are 6, 7, 8 years old, that this is the first time they've ever been to the Carolina Panthers when they're in the playoffs. So again, this is just an extremely different energy here in Charlotte. I think for myself, I was in high school the last time we were in the playoffs. So really just an exciting time. Fans are optimistic again. They know that the Panthers have the support here, the noise, the cheering here. It's there. It's just how we play today. So again, optimistic for fans and excited to bring Cam back home to again watch the game. And Cam said he is excited because this is the first time he gets to come watch the Panthers play in the playoff where he is not playing in it.
Playing, that will be the first time this is combination all year.
All right, thanks, Walker. Yeah, it's a party out there. It's a party all day.
It's a party in here too. You can see the fans starting to trickle in behind us now, and it's even more of a party now that we have Locked On Panthers Julian Council joining us in person. We love it when we get to do this all together.
Absolutely, and nothing could be finer to have playoff football back here in Carolina.
Julian, how cathartic is it, before we dive into the matchup, for Panthers fans in this franchise?
I mean, so cathartic. We saw that from the outpouring of emotion that we saw last Sunday after the Falcons were able to take care of business there and beat the Saints. All these fans that have been through so much turmoil over the last 8 years of not being in the playoffs, last decade of not winning this division. And this is a city that, having grown up here, I've seen it go from a sleepy little southern town to the metropolis that it is today, and found and seen how many people have fallen in love with this organization. And it's so good for all those folks who either come to Charlotte in the last decade or have been here since the inception of this team back in '95 to get this moment against the Rams here on this Saturday.
This is a young team. We've noted that less than half of this team has actually had any playoff experience, let alone just the handful of guys who have been to a Super Bowl themselves. 11 of them are rookies, so this is a young group, and for a lot of them, it's their first real postseason experience that they're going to be getting in their careers.
Yeah, it's not just the rookies. It's also some of your vets out there like Derek Brown, like J.C. Horn, your two best players on that defense. They've never been in this spot. Yeah, they played in big games back in college, but this is a completely different scenario that they're stepping into today. And your quarterback, Bryce Young, as well, who, again, played in big games back in Alabama, but it's a lot different when you're playing against Sean McVay and these Rams. So I think that they'll be composed. And the good thing is they've had the last month of playing some really important games. That game in New Orleans, game here against Tampa in Week 16 and 17 against Seattle. Then, of course, last Saturday against the Bucs. Now, they faltered 1 out of 4 times, but still they've had that experience, which I think will help them today at home. And, of course, the crowd will also be something that can buoy them.
Julian, these young players get experience because obviously the team had its sights set on 2026 to get to this point. That's great. The party's great. Can they win this game? Beating the Rams again 6 weeks later is daunting.
Absolutely, they can win this game. We've already seen that this team is capable of really beating anybody in the NFL and losing to anybody in the NFL when you go back to their big wins against Green Bay, the big win here in Week 13 against the Rams, and then the stinkers against the Saints both times here and down in New Orleans. So, yes, certainly they can win this game. I'm not sure whether they can bank on 3 takeaways like they had back in Week 13, but they could potentially go back to the run game, which was really solid for them, and dependent upon whether Robert Hunt, who we know is going to be active in this, or he's at least going to, he's potentially going to be active in this game. We're going to find out inactives here shortly, but if he's in there, that should help the rushing attack. That really hasn't been great since, well, this game where they beat the Rams, when we saw what Rico and Chuba could be when we all dreamt of it back in March when Rico Dowdle signed here. So certainly they can win this game.
Especially with the wins, we were just talking about it too. You can imagine they might be relying a little bit more on that run game today too, right?
Yeah, probably not going to take too many shots, and you have to wonder too, special teams wise, how aggressive does Dave Canales get? That's one piece of this game that, and really we've seen all throughout the season, as the Panthers led the NFL in 4th down conversions, they were 4 for 4 in that win against the Rams. Now, a couple of those were shots down the field, the T-Mac and also to Jalen Coker for touchdowns on those 4th and shorts. Will they be aggressive knowing that maybe a long field goal may not be in the cards because of this wind, and eventually when likely the rain comes?
Hey, listen, I'm not sure the Panthers are the team that can decide, here's how we want to win the game this week, like the Patriots used to do week to week and change up. But it feels like there are kind of 2 paths. It's the aggression, like the last time against the Rams, or that middle of October stretch where it was run, Rico, run. But it just seems like that run game is just kind of beat up. Could they use like fresh fresh legs like ETN or a couple of horn gadget plays to get that going on the ground today.
Yeah, it's not just the fact that, Rico's a little banged up, Chuba's been banged up this season, the offensive line clearly has been banged up. I think it's just, can you be more creative in your scheming? And that could be having Trevor Etienne, seeing some of the jet sweeps we've seen with Jimmy Horn Jr. so far this season. I do think that fresh legs, if Robert Hunt does play, that will be massive for them. Again, this is a guy they paid $100 million over 5 years, potentially, to be their top guy at right guard. And having him back in the lineup today, if that does happen, I do think that will help them immensely. Damian Lewis has been great for them at left guard, so having both those guys back in the lineup, I think would be a real big help for them. And I think really the path is, yes, being able to run the ball, but it's also finding balance. I thought that Bryce Young, in that game in Week 13, maybe played his best game as a Panther. Now, we've said it a lot recently about some of these games. Obviously, the game against Atlanta early on this season as well. I thought last week, in the rain down in Tampa, I thought Bryce gave you what you needed to have. Now, the turnover aside, I thought he was really good. So if you can get the same Bryce you got for the most part last week and in that Week 13 matchup and get back the run game, that's the path at least offensively for them to win this game.
We've been saying that ice Bryce, that ice in his veins. Once again, he had 12 game-winning drives in his career, so many of them coming from this season alone. One of them, of course, in that win against the Rams not too long ago. How do we feel like Bryce is mentally dialing in? Because he talks a lot about the mental side of the game and in terms of how he really focuses on those maybe 2-minute drills, on those final drives, and he seems to turn it on in those moments especially.
Yeah, and that's a crazy stat. 12 game-winning drives in his career since he came in, and that's more than anybody else in the league. More than Patrick Mahomes, more than Josh Allen, more than all these quarterbacks who would say right now are a step above Bryce Young. But Bryce, at least when it matters most, in crunch time, he's shown the ability to do that. And you talk about his mental makeup, I think that goes back to his background with his father and what he works in as far as a psychologist. And that's very helpful to where he's always going to have that confidence. Now he's a South California kind of guy. So, SoCal guys are pretty chill. Dave Canales, we see that on a daily basis. So I think that helps him. His experience here in the league and experience back in college also will help him a lot. So I do think that Bryce is made for this moment, and it's not going to be too big for him.
All right, so let's talk about home field advantage, because the Rams, as good as they have been, I think they're 7-1 or 7-2 at home. They're 5-4 on the road. I know the math is fuzzy on that. I didn't get that quite right. They are 5-4 on the road. They've lost 3 of 4 East Coast trips. Matt Stafford only has 8 interceptions. 7 of them are on the road. 2 of them are right here. How big of a factor is that in the potential conditions to Carolina's advantage?
It's always a factor, especially when, again, your West Coast time, body clock. And I do think it's helpful that, aside from the Eagles game that they blew back in Week 3 and this game they blew back in Week 13, those are 1 o'clock kickoffs. And the fact that now this is a 4:31, so it's going to be a little bit more on their normal body clock time of a 1:30 kickoff, I do think that's been a factor for them. But you cannot discount how they play on the road. And that's the same thing with a lot of teams in the NFL. Teams are usually better at home than they are on the road. And that crowd noise, which I think is going to be a major factor, which I thought was a factor in that Week 13 loss as well, I do think that's something that can hold them back and help Carolina win this game.
I mean, you were talking about before, you're from the area, you've seen this fan base and what it takes to kind of rally behind a team. You walk down in Uptown, you walk in South End, wherever you are, and you're seeing Panthers gear, you're seeing people just getting excited. Are you expecting that to impact? And we've heard from the guys about how, when they can force these false start calls and how the fans can actually, so the Seahawks kind of say that 12th man mentality, but it really feels like they can impact the game in a positive way for the home crowd.
Yeah, I am expecting the fans to be the loudest that we've heard all season long. And I honestly felt like that Week 17 game against Seattle, where they potentially could have closed it out, you could feel how nervous Sam Darnold was on that first play where he nearly was intercepted by J.C. Horn. And then even continuing, they were able to get that 3rd down, but it got loud. And it was shaking here for a little bit. And I have not seen this building like that in a long time. So I absolutely expect that when things kick off here, especially after Cam Newton bangs that key pounding drum, this place is probably going to be as loud as the last time we saw Cam Newton in this building as starting quarterback against Washington, at least the first time we saw him when he came back in 2021. So, yeah, I think the crowd's going to be a major factor. And this crowd's always been like that. It's been unfortunate that the last couple of seasons, there's been a lot of stadium takeovers, has been a lot of things to get behind. But now that this team, even if they got in at 8-9, is back in the playoffs, I think everybody in this city is clearly alive. They're going to be ready to go once 4:30 comes around.
The wind's picking up. My rundown is out the window, but we're just having too much fun. Anyway, let's talk about Cam. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's talk about Cam. What are we supposed to do? Oh yeah, talk about Cam. Always talk about Cam. It hasn't overshadowed things, which I think is nice. It wasn't this will he, won't he.
Yeah.
He agreed to be at the tailgate, do his show from there, be here to bang the drum. I mean, it just seems like it wasn't that fractured in the first place. This seems like a step in a really good direction.
Yeah, and I don't know. We don't know how fractured the relationship was. Maybe it wasn't at all. I do remember being last year in Germany, and all the fans who were asking me, like German fans from all across Europe, were like, where's Cam? Where's Cam? Where's Cam? I'm like, guys, you don't love Jonathan Stewart, you don't love Steve Smith, you don't love Patrick. These guys are here too. They're Panther legends too. But you just understand just how much he's meant to people here in the Carolinas and all across the world who love this team. And it's so great to have him back here. I think about the Panthers pre-Cam and post-Cam, like really when he got here. Like this town obviously loved this team, but once he came here, he was really the first superstar. And I think the only superstar this franchise has ever had. And having that kind of big personality really brought out a kind of bravado in all the Panther fans across Carolinas, across the world. So it's so cool, especially a decade after that 15-1 season that went to the Super Bowl before, of course, they fell to Denver, to have him back here, to have guys like Luke around, Jonathan Stewart around. So cool that that's finally kind of been mended and needs to be a part of this today.
All right, we're going to have a conversation about whether or not Bryce Young can be that next superstar and how big today is, but that's going to be later. For now, Julian, thanks for joining us. We are going to send it back down to Logan Campbell, who's got another guest on the field for us.
Hey Nick, well, if you can't tell by my hair that's been blowing around since we first talked to you at the beginning of the show, the wind has really picked up. Eugene Robinson here with me. We've been watching the ball, and what have you noticed?
So I've been watching the ball as the guys are warming up, and we notice that the ball is floating. So even with a nice spiral, the ball is starting to move off its trajectory. So that could be an issue moving forward in this game.
Absolutely. Eugene, you are no stranger to playing some playoff games, but you never played one here.
No.
For a former player and watching these players warm up on the field, how juiced up does this get you?
I'll tell you what, it's the juices are flowing right now. It brings back so many memories, and then watching the fans as they kind of fill in the bowl, I'm getting really excited about this game. And to have Panther football and playoff football here once again, it feels really, really good. It feels great. So this is going to be a smack game, but here it is. Make it 0-0. I don't care what the team's records are at all. You're here right now, and all you have to do is just win one game.
One game.
One game, and you move on.
That is all it takes.
That's all that's at stake. And so here it is. Both teams are really good. There's no doubt. Stafford, and we can talk about ad infinitum. We can talk about their receivers. We can talk about Bryce Young. It comes down to who makes the fewer mistakes.
Yes.
You can't make mistakes at this juncture because both teams are too good to capitalize.
Well, and last time when the Panthers and the Rams met, it was the Panthers that made fewer mistakes.
Yes.
How do they recreate that success?
I think one, they have to control the ball and keep that offense off the field. But two, defensively, make sure you put pressure. I think this is going to be more a referendum on the coach, our defensive coordinator. He has to go ahead and dial up plays to put pressure on Stafford, to get him off the spot, to make him reset. Because if he sits back there in that pocket, he has two dynamite receivers that he can throw the ball to. One has 129 catches, Nakua, and then Devontae Adams, two outstanding receivers. So we got to get to Stafford. So this is going to be a game. I'm looking at the defensive coordinator to see how well he calls the game.
Eugene, we've talked about this time and time again. This is the first time in nearly a decade that there has been playoff football in Charlotte. You've been in and out of the building a few times this week. What is the vibe you're getting from this team coming into this game?
They are excited too because they're not supposed to be here. They're not supposed to be here, and they are here. And so you take that narrative, like, don't forget, Coach Canales is a 2-year coach in the playoffs. In the playoffs. If you said we had 6-7 wins, everybody would take it. But if you said we would be in the playoff, buying for a spot, no one would believe that. We're buying for a spot. So take all that stuff out the window, all records out the window, just go win a game.
Well, when we were talking with Jake, he said that Charlotte's not really known for being a football place. What does this do for the culture?
It is. When you, first of all, football, when you are winning, it makes everything taste better, look better, sound better, smell better. You can go out, and whether you're out in the shopping market, whether you're out and about, everybody's in a better mood. They just are. Winning creates a climate where good things happen. And when you're winning and get yourself into the playoffs and you win a game, you wait. If we win this game right here, you think this is something? You wait.
You heard it first from Eugene.
You wait.
Speaking of playoffs and how it smells like French fries inside Pregame at American Stadium. energy.
It is. I'm ready to go. I'm about to go ahead and get out there and go hit somebody.
If you see Eugene, he's going to be going to everyone and getting all their food.
Oh, I will be.
Eugene, defensively, what are you hoping to see from J.C. Horn and Derek Brown? You said that those are two of the best players you've ever seen play in your life.
They have to have really good coverage. When we go to our man-to-man defense, when Coach Gerald dials up some blitzes, they have to have good coverage. They have to make the wide receiver restart. If they're able to do that, they give themselves a chance. They can't get stacked by Nakua, which means they can't get them on the hip by Nakua, because they do, it's going to be hard to defend against those guys.
Absolutely. Eugene, thanks for your insight. We really appreciate it. We are looking forward to today. Nick, back to you.
Oh man, this is great. So that's our first half hour. We got another half hour to go, and we are loaded with content here on the Panthers on the Plus playoff pregame special. You know, Eugene, he could have helped the last time the Panthers played the Rams. They were without Trayvon Merrick, but now they've got Merritt back, they've got Horn back. They weren't even a part of the team that turned Stafford over 3 times. So we've got another half hour to go. We're going to talk about Bryce Young, bring Julian Council back in, have Anish Shroff, the Panthers radio play-by-play voice, and make predictions at the end of this one ahead of the first Panthers playoff game in 8 years, first at home in a decade. But right now, it's 90 minutes before the game. Exactly, Danielle.
Yep.
That's when the inactive list comes out.
Yep.
And we're looking for one name to not be on there.
And it's a big one.
Yeah.
Rob Hunt, we've been talking about him for the last couple of weeks. He's been out since week 2. He had a bicep injury. He had to get surgery. And it's one of those guys that you don't realize how much you really miss, especially just talking to in the locker room, just because it's so awesome and his personality is great. But of course, the impact that he can make on the field too. Yeah. He's a Pro Bowler after all, just last year. So someone that makes such an impact. The offensive line has had so many changes this year, filling in for where he is leaving that hole. So yeah, Rob, we're looking for his name, and hopefully we can get some word on if he will be active. And Dave said that we might be seeing him start if he is. So
yeah,
we're on that
and
too.
Listen, the run game has dropped off precipitously, not since he left the lineup after week 2, but really since this Rams game when they ran for 160 yards, and it whittled all the way down as we have the Keep Pounding chant starting up here anyway on level 100. The run game kind of devolved into what we saw last week at Tampa Bay with 19 rushing yards, and you say the conditions, but Tampa Bay had no problem. So Hunt is going to be able to hopefully provide a big push there. And we did get to talk to him in the locker room this week. He wants to be on the field.
He's so excited. He said that he's been getting honestly very emotionally invested. Not that he's not normally, but just by watching it from the sideline, he's been kind of channeling something new. But just being part of this team and watching where this team is as they're getting ready for playoff is something that's really cool for him to watch too.
All right, so let's hear from Rob Hunt on what he said in the locker room this week.
What an honor to be playing, a week after the season is over. So shout out to the team, man, and everybody that's been involved, you guys, the fans, everybody, man. So I'm just excited to be a part of it. Now I can strap up a little bit, hopefully, and then line it up. I'm gonna be pumped to see what I can do Saturday.
All right, so they really need him back today. We're about to get the inactive list. Hopefully he's not on it. That's really the big name we're watching, and we'll keep everybody posted there at home. Meanwhile, I believe you saw shots of David Tepper, the team's owner, on the field. Listen, he bought this team in 2018. He had a hard-charging, maybe some would say hard-headed way about him in getting to this point, but ultimately he got there, 8 years later.
Yeah, there's of course been some criticism every now and again. When there's a loss, the fans will sometimes come and criticize, but here they are once again in the playoffs, and I think everyone has a lot to be thankful for being back here in this position.
He took a step back, right? And he's allowed his new hires, Dave Canales at head coach, and Dan Morgan at general manager, and another executive, Brant Tillis, who now the Falcons are after, do their thing. And
Falcons are no longer after because they got Matt
Ryan. Okay, so there you go. So maybe they keep Brant Tillis, which has been really big in terms of how they build this football team. But David Tepper's taken that step back, which everybody had been asking him to do year after year, head coach after head coach. And now, I think you have to correlate this playoff appearance and the way things are trending from 2 wins to 5 wins to 8 wins to that kind of new approach for the owner.
It's a new approach, but we're also seeing that continuity too. Like you said, it's a second year with Dave Canales and Dan Morgan here. It's the third year with Bryce Young. They're letting these guys gel and develop as a whole and as a unit, and not just turning the page when things maybe aren't going going away like they could have after a 5-win season just a year ago, but they stick with it. They've kept a lot of their main head honchos like Dave and Dan, and they're going into a playoff game today.
All right, so we are going to hear from Panthers play-by-play voice Anish Shroff down on the field, Logan, in just a few minutes. So far, the weather is holding up, but we think, according to our professionals, not us, when it comes to weather, that the rain is going to start moving in around kickoff and kind of linger here for a little bit with this front coming through, which we've said could be really big for maybe turning over Matt Stafford a few times. Of course, conversely, you've got to hold on to the football, which Bryce Young in this late stretch has done a pretty good job of, with some exceptions. We're going to talk about Bryce Young, what this means for his legacy, what it means for a fifth-year option, an extension with Julian Council in a few minutes as we move the show along here. Still waiting for that inactive list to come out, but Bryce Young, the guy was 17, he was a high school sophomore the last time the Panthers made the playoffs. That just gives you kind of some perspective with that. As we take a look on the field, watching the players warm up, we are T-minus 90 minutes to the Panthers' first home playoff game in 8 years. We're still waiting for Anish, and we're watching Bryce do some warm-ups. He's been dialed in. Dave Canales told us, listen, he hasn't changed his approach at all. He's the same guy, no matter the situation.
Week in and week out, we hear from him post-game, pre-game, during his Wednesday weekly press conference, and he stays level-headed. That's the biggest thing about Bryce. Of course, we actually saw a little glimpse last week against the Bucs, where we saw a little bit more emotion when he was, getting into it with a referee on the side. But yeah, you don't really see that kind of emotion out of Bryce. There's been a couple other instances. For the most part, there's been a lot of talk about how he keeps the rest of this locker room composed. T-Mac was even talking earlier this week about how when Bryce comes into the huddle on those 2-minute drills, if he's cool, the rest of the guys are going to be cool, because Bryce comes in with this energy and this attitude that becomes contagious, and the rest of the guys just feed off of that to stay level-headed as well.
Yeah, so everybody always says, can Bama Bryce show up? And he has in certain games along the way the last 2 years. I want to see Carolina Bryce. I want to see him be able to win this game, a playoff game, with his arm, because I thought last week he performed very well late in that game at Tampa. 266 yards, one of his best totals of the season. So this is the stage we know he can perform at, and now he's just got to go out and do it. They got to help him out around him.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen T-Mac all year. We know he's very well in the conversation for Offensive Rookie of the Year with the numbers he's putting up, over 1,000 receiving yards in his rookie season. But getting Jalen Coker to a point that he's now pretty much become that wide receiver too. He has just stepped up so much. He had the first 4 weeks where he was injured, and he's found his place back into the lineup, scoring a touchdown just again last week. So using someone like him as well, he's got a couple of really good options that he has to work with as well too.
Young faces a lot of external criticism. People both in the profession and fans that don't believe in his game, and we're going to get the inactive list here thanks to our photographer Brian Hall. And David Moore, the receiver, is on it. Robert Hunt is not on it. He will officially play in this game. So as we wait to go back down to Logan to talk to Anish about that and some other things, I'm wondering if our producer Jeb, and this is the only way I can communicate with him right now, can bring up, we got a lot of good sound from Bryce's teammates. They believe in him. They know what he can do. So I'm hoping we can hear that now, Jeb, if you can get your finger on that button and hear from Bryce's teammates this week in the locker room.
I'm so fired up for Bryce and for the whole crew, but these are the moments, and in my mind, when we've put Bryce into these high-stakes situations, he's performed well, whether it's going for it on fourth down, end-of-game type of stuff. It's an area where he just continues to execute and do the basics and the fundamentals that we ask him to, and so these games are like that, and, when you're playing a great opponent like the Rams, all the little execution and the fundamentals are so important, and so I love this challenge for our group, and especially for Bryce.
He came in, he was a #1 overall pick. He came in, with all the weight on his shoulders. The whole franchise, the whole city relied on him to turn it around, and now this is the first time in the playoffs for, 10 years or so. So, I'm sure there's a lot going through his head. He's just being grateful and just blessed to be here, and, I'm sure he's happy to be in the city of Charlotte.
Well, they gave Bryce a heck of a weapon in Tetaroa McMillan, who is, I think, the Rookie of the Year offensively in the NFL. but he's going to get help up front today. We found out Rob Hunt is playing.
Yep, Rob Hunt is officially not on the inactive list, which is so cool to see. We knew that his progression for his rehab would maybe take him to this time, but for the Panthers to be in a position where they have this additional game that Rob is able to play in, I know he's excited, I know the rest of the O-line's excited, and I think just Panthers Nation as a whole is thrilled that 50 will be back out on the field.
And perhaps Austin Corbett, who I think struggled at center but had a good season at guard for the most part, he's going to be available as that 6th offensive lineman, whether Hunt starts or not. For now, we're going to send it down to the 3rd member of our team, Logan Campbell, our co-host on the field. She is standing by with yet another special guest down there, Logan.
Oh yeah, Nick, I sure do. I have the play-by-play voice of the Carolina Panthers, and Anish off with us. Anish, thanks so much for making time. We can hear the fans screaming, keep pounding, and David Tepper, the owner of the Panthers, was actually the one leading that chant. What is this energy as a guy that's around this team and has seen it build up? What is this like for you?
It is about to get real loud. I would say 4 o'clock-ish.
Yeah.
I think you all know why, but it's funny. I just saw David Tepper a moment ago. I said, is that the Johnny Cash look? And he looked at me and he goes, Johnny Cash? He goes, no, think of the NFL owner who wears black. And he goes, just win, baby. So that was, a little homage to Al Davis. But just win, baby is the theme today. And this crowd, I think, is ready to erupt. They've been waiting for it. This game starts. It's going to be a living, breathing Leviathan. The sound, the fury, the tumult, the shouting. You're going to hear it all. I'm excited to hear this atmosphere.
For the Panthers making the playoffs for the first time in nearly a decade, what does this do not only for the culture of this team and this organization, but the city of Charlotte?
Well, sports brings the community together, and you have felt that in the last week. Doesn't matter where you're from, what you believe, you kind of congregate under the banner of keep pounding, and to watch Charlotte, to watch the Carolinas really rally around the Panthers, and especially over the last month when the playoff push has felt real and you felt the possibility, now you get to see it out. It's going to be special. Regardless of what happens today, this game and this moment becomes a celebration.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The rain, I just felt a trickle. The weather's probably going to be a little factor in this game. They were just talking about Bryce Young, and I want to get your thoughts. As someone who knows this team better than anyone else, how have you seen his confidence grow over the course of this season?
I think the biggest thing with Bryce is it's now his 2nd year in Dave Canales' system. He's more comfortable with the offense. He's able to make some checks at the line, but more than anything, he's the last guy that you worry about when it comes to nerves in a game like this. I ran into his mom and dad in New Orleans a few weeks ago, and I said, how does he stay so calm? And his dad said, I get jumpy at times. The mom says, I don't. And that's where he gets it from. He's played in big games his whole career. Mater Dei, Alabama. The big games for Bryce are the norm. So I think he's going to be fine today. And I think, again, when the drumbeat grows, his heartbeat slows. He's been so good in these clutch spots. That's going to build confidence.
Absolutely, and it doesn't hurt when he has teammates saying how excited they are for him to take the field in a high-stakes game like this. And they also got a huge help and a boost back on offense with Robert Hunt. How huge is that for the run game coming into this game?
I mean, he's 6'5", 330, right? And even if he's 80% of Robert Hunt last year, that's 80% of a Pro Bowl guard. He's their best offensive lineman. They ran the ball well against LA. I think they've got a decided advantage inside the tackles, running the football against this team, even before Robert Hunt was activated. You get him back. If you can run the football, especially, you said you felt a couple of drops. If it's going to rain and the Panthers can run the football and you got big Robert Hunt moving bodies, that goes a long way. Playoff football, the primordial spirit of playoff football is defense and run the football.
Absolutely. And you talked a little bit about how rocking this crowd is going to be. In 2010, the Seattle Seahawks, home field advantage, coming in with a losing record, very similar to a situation that the Panthers are in. How confident are you that they are going to be able to have that same success here inside Bank of America
I think the
Stadium?
biggest thing is we have to get the Rams in 3rd down. In the first game in Week 13, even though the Panthers won, the Rams only had 5 3rd down attempts the entire game. If you can get the Rams into double-digit 3rd downs, you activate Bank of America Stadium. You get loud, you can cause penalties, you can cause false starts, you get the defense going a little bit. I think that's going to be the key.
Anish, this is the first time that playoffs have been here in so long. What are you looking forward to the most today?
I just think make this a celebration, right? When you scale back and you zoom out and you look at what this team's been able to do, they've played the 2nd most rookies in the NFL. It's still a very young team, and to get that playoff experience, you can't qualify that. You can't quantify that. So this is going to help this team in the long run. But I think in the short term, you're playing with house money. Okay, you're the underdog. They've been a double-digit underdog at Green Bay. They were a double-digit underdog at home against L.A. They've been in this position. I think most fans would agree they've been better as the underdog this season than the favorite. So why not go shock the world and send shockwaves through the NFL?
Well, we know that the Carolina Panthers thrive in underdogs. You just told us pretty much every example this year about it. We will soak it in. I hope you soak it in as well.
Yeah.
It's going
Thank
to
you,
be a
Logan.
very fun day here inside Bank of America Stadium, Nick.
Thank you, Logan. Thank you, Anish Shroff. And a lot of times after wins, Danielle, we text Anish, hey, send us your winning call so we can put it on here. Hopefully we're doing that tonight at 11. We've had all sorts of special guests, Eugene Robinson, Anish, Jake Delhomme, bringing back in Julian Council, who's with us every single week. This is an extra one. Hope you don't mind. I don't think anybody does.
Not at all.
Before we talk more about this game and about how big it is for Bryce Young, we addressed the Panthers inactives. The Rams are going to be without guard Kevin Dotson. That's big, going up against Derek Brown. They're also without Terrence Ferguson, a tight end. They like to go heavy tight end. What are your thoughts on that inactive list?
Yeah, I think that's huge. I think back to what Jake Delhomme said earlier on the broadcast, that who are going to be the closers for Carolina. And in that Week 13 game, obviously Derek Brown was the closer with the strip sack. You think about him getting that big mid up there early in the game to get the interception that Nick Scott picked off. Those turnovers were huge in that game. And I don't know if Carolina can bank on having those turnovers. They can certainly bank on Derek Brown dominating on the inside. It's been a weekly thing where he's just ragdolled some poor offensive lineman, and it's going to be whoever Kevin Dotson's filling is today in all likelihood. So that's massive there. And you talk about how the Rams have to go with 3 tight ends, have that 13 personnel, meaning 1 running back, 3 tight ends. Not having Terrence Ferguson, a rookie, is going to hurt them, but obviously they have the veterans in Kobe Parkinson and Tyler Higbee, who's been a long-time Ram, that will be out there as well. And let's not forget the weapons they have on the outside. Devontae Adams, who missed most of that game with concussion back in Week 13, and then Puka Nacua. Man, some of the plays that he made in that game, he's been one of the best in the NFL this year, so will be maybe less of a challenge, but still a challenge to the Panthers defense.
As I talked to a defensive pass game coordinator, Jonathan Cooley, a couple weeks ago, he described what Derek Brown does as throwing guys out the club. So yeah, we can expect to see some of that. But on the other side, for the inactive, we talked about Rob Hunt being there. We talked about David Moore not being active today. So Bryce Young is going to have some good options to work with on the offense, and of course get some more reinforcement out front.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would think that if Rob Hunt, who's coming back from a torn biceps, that suffered back in Week 2. Let's understand this. Like, that does not typically happen. When you tear your biceps, you're done. We've seen that from Austin Corbett last year. We've seen it from Brady Christensen 2 years ago. When that happened, those guys are done. So the fact that he's even playing football right now just speaks to his ability to bounce back, and also just his determination, knowing that this could be a moment for him to go out there. I think he's going to start. You don't pay a guy 5 years, $100 million to not start in these games, especially when he's your priority free agent. And if he does, this will be the first time this season. Ike Ekwonu has been at left guard, Damian Lewis has been at left. So Ike Ekwonu at left tackle, Damian Lewis at left guard, Cade Mays at center, Robert Hunt at right guard, and then Tebow at right tackle. I think that's the Panthers' best 5, and what a better time to have him than right now. And the David Moore aspect's interesting too, because that's been a situation where all year long they've only had 5 receivers active on game day. And if Moore's not going to play today, which is the case, that means they're going with a rookie in McMillan, a second-year player in Leggett, second-year player in Coker, a second-year player in Bryson Tremaine, and a rookie in Jimmy Horn Jr. All of them have never played in the playoffs. David Moore has back in Seattle, so that's a very interesting decision made by Dave Canales and the coaching staff to go with all young receivers in this game.
All right, the offense has worked every other week, just like the team has won every other week until the last few weeks. But Bryce Young, I mean, you know, listen, you can talk about the inexperience around him, the inexperience at play caller and Dave Canales, and they don't want to make it about one guy. Sure. But it's about the starting quarterback and figuring out if he is the guy going forward. How much can you tell about that in a game like this?
Everything. The playoffs are different for a reason. You look at guys and you see what they do in the regular season, but what do they do when a potential Lombardi trophy is on the line, when that brass ring is on the line? We put a lot of diamonds around it, of course. Like, what can they do? And like I talked about Robert Hunt, you don't pay that guy that kind of money to not start him in this kind of game. You don't trade away Christian McCaffrey to get assets. You don't trade away DJ Moore and what turned out to be the #1 overall pick to get Bryce Young for him not to make plays in the game like we saw last week, what he did against Tampa in Week 16, and then today. Like, this is the moment to where you can find out what kind of player he is. And I did see Adam Schefter from ESPN report today that the expectation is that the Panthers are going to exercise the fifth-year option on Bryce Young, which would mean over the next 2 seasons he'll make $32 million, which, if you look at it, $16 million per year, not bad for a starting quarterback who in his third year has helped you get to the playoffs and win the division, even if you backed away in. So these are the games that you find out about who you have in Bryce, and we'll find out. Because I certainly think he has it in him, but can he show it out there on the field?
The timing of that news is a little bit interesting. Of course, we knew that that's been in the talks all season long. Dave Canales has been asked a couple times this season too, is Bryce going to be getting that fifth-year option, all that. But it's really about these moments and proving yourself to be that guy. We know that they'll probably trend there at this point. They like him. They feel pretty confident in him. It seems like the organization is backing him as their starting quarterback for the foreseeable future. But it's these moments that can really cement your place in the franchise's hearts and minds.
Yeah, and I think it's a wise decision if they make it. Now, understand, it does not have to be made until the beginning of May. So the fact that news even came out, and I know that Dan Graziano, who was here in the stands for that Rams game in the press box of ESPN, he did talk about after that his thought was that likely Carolina was going to exercise fifth-year option. And then once Schefter puts it out there, that's very well what's going to happen, no matter what the result of this game today, I would think. And that just shows you how much they believe in Bryce Young. But again, he's got to go out there and reward them for the confidence that they've shown in him, in the same way that J.C. Horn did, who was banged up throughout the first 3 years of his career. They exercised fifth-year option, and he went out the last 2 years to become a Pro Bowler. Can Bryce now, when all that reports come out that he's going to be here for at least the next 2 years and possibly beyond, can he show them that you're making the right decision because I'm that kind of guy that can help you win these kind of games on this stage?
Well, they don't have to make the extension decision until at some point next year or even beyond.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, how hard is it to evaluate this guy when you have a 458-yard passing game and a 54-yard passing game in the same season?
Well, that's why you'll exercise fifth-year option and give him 2 more years to continue to evaluate. Because I look at it, year 1 was just so messed up with the offensive line injuries, the lack of receiver options outside of Adam Thielen, and then, of course, your head coach, Frank Reich, gets fired after 11 games, Thomas Brown, all of that. So I washed away year 1. Year 2, got off to a rocky start. And he came back, second half of the season, played well. You had confidence in what he could do moving forward. This year has finally been the only normal year for Bryce Young as a starter. So can you get another one of those next year and really improve on a down-to-down, game-to-day basis as far as the passing games? Because you're right. How do you go from 448 yards passing 1 week and then a couple weeks later 54, including 16 in the first half? So I think having more time to evaluate support, and you look at a lot of young quarterbacks in this league, they get quit on too early. They don't have a great situation. We've seen guys like Sam Darnold, like Baker Mayfield, I don't want to relitigate their time in Carolina, but they've gone on to have success in their next stop. So you don't want to be that again in Carolina when you look at Bryce Young. So give him time, give him his weapons, like the young guys going to be out there with him, give them time as well to mature, and then see where you're at maybe next year in March or the year after that if it comes to that.
Yeah, there's more options like we're talking about, bringing in a wide receiver. Thinking back to that NFL draft, I think we all thought, hey, they're going to go defense. And then they kind of shocked everyone when they got T-Mac as the 8th overall pick. So they're really showing that they want to give Bryce the position to be succeeding as well by having successful guys around him, like someone such as T-Mac.
Yeah, and I think about where would they be right now if they did not draft Tedero McMillan 8th overall? Had they gone with Jalen Walker out of Georgia, who we all talked about that was going to be the guy. It made all the sense. He was from Salisbury. They needed a linebacker, someone who could also rush the passer, the leadership. He just felt like a perfect culture fit. But so has T-Mac coming in here. And we didn't know at that time that Adam Thielen was going to be traded away and that Jalen Coker was going to injure his quad, miss the first 6 weeks, that Xavier Legette was not going to take that next step so far this season. And hey, new season now. Maybe XL can step up in the game today, and we'll see what happens after that, after this week, potentially. So I think having those guys as well is just so important, especially McMillan, where you trade away DJ Moore. You didn't have weapons for Rice year 1. You didn't have weapons really last year. Now you have a guy who shows instantly that he's that guy and can maybe be the next great wide receiver with this franchise.
That Cali to Cali connection like we talked about.
We'll see if it happens against LA today. Julian, one last thing before we get into some other stuff and eventually get to our predictions. How can Dave Canales, besides not attempting a flea flicker from the 20, help Bryce Young today?
He can help him by trusting in Bryce. Yeah. This is a game where you cannot play scared. scared. I don't think the Panthers are winning this game by scoring 14 points. I don't think they're winning this game by scoring 20 points. I think it's going to take 30 like they did last time against this Rams team. You're going to have to be aggressive. We saw that with those shots they took on those 4th and shorts to Jalen Coker and Terrell McMillan in that game for touchdowns. I think they need to do that. They need to try to get him outside the pocket, allow his legs to be a factor. While the run game has sputtered, Bryce's legs outside the pocket, really, that's been some of the best run attack that they've had over the last month and a half. So I think that Dave really has to entrust Bryce, that he believes in Bryce. He needs to tell him early on, like, I believe in you. Even open up the game with some shots down the field, maybe some intermediate throws. Don't just dink and dunk. Yes, it's nice to get a quarterback in a rhythm, but let Bryce know that, hey, we're going for this. We're not going to sit back. We're not going to just let them bring it to us. We're going to take it to him immediately. So I think that's what Dave Canales needs to do, is trust in his quarterback in this situation.
I think it's showing a lot of trust, though, just by the fact that they've led the league this year in these 4th down conversions, too. They're putting it in Bryce's hands. They're giving him those chances, and they're succeeding when they're in those positions where they have the chance to kick or they go for it, and they've been doing a lot of that, too.
All right, we just saw Ryan Fitzgerald warming up on the field. It's going to be a windy day. We'll see if that factors into the coin toss like it did against Green Bay. Julian, we're going to bring you back in 1 minute to get your final thoughts and a prediction for this Saturday tilt. Danielle, you talked to Austin Corbett this week, and he's been one of the mainstays in this locker room for a handful of years.
Yeah.
One of the guys with the most experience, and he's got one of these, a ring.
Yeah, he's the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award nominee for the Panthers this year. He won the Good Guy Award for the media this year, so he's someone who's reliable, and he's one of those veteran presences. And yes, it will be interesting to see how it's going to shake up with Robert Hunt back. Potentially, we'll see what that right guard position is going to be looking like. But all of it, Austin has just proven to be a leader, and we talked earlier this week about what that kind of playoff experience is like, coming in with a ring, basically.
Throw away that first game this year that we played already. Like, that doesn't matter. It's a different mindset here. And so just getting guys to understand this, playoffs are a different ballgame.
Right.
And you got to own it and make every single play count.
How beneficial is it to come in with playoff experience? Like, what do you at least take from this time of year compared to the rest of the regular season that you think maybe you're going to be coming in with a little bit more of an experience?
Yeah, I think it's just understanding, like, you're already 17 games in. Now you start stacking on top. You have to understand that you're dragging the season on, and you have to be able to just help guys understand that it requires more. Like, you're truly digging at the bottom of the barrel to scrape everything out of your body that you can. And so figuring out ways, what do you need to do? Like, what more can you add to it to make sure you're pouring every single thing into it and fill it up to make sure you empty it all again come Saturday, because you have no more guarantees left. You have to give it all out and make sure you're ready to pour everything you have into Saturday.
More than half of this roster has not played in a playoff. Of course, 11 of them are rookies too, so this is really just the first time that they're in a situation like this. What kind of advice do you give to some of the young players on this team as they're getting ready for this week?
Yeah, everything with them is just like, not trying to knock them down, but just be like, hey, rookie, not everyone makes the playoffs. This is going to be a different environment. And I know you're starting out as a rookie feeling good. It's like, oh, you just make the playoffs in the NFL. It's like, no, it doesn't happen. There's a lot of work in here. And so understand and embrace this moment. There's a lot of guys that have played a lot of years in this league who have never sniffed the playoffs.
Right.
Never made it to the Super Bowl or anything like that. So you have to appreciate this moment for what it is, but also understand it's go time.
There's just a lot riding on the city who's all behind you guys. This locker room is showing time and time again that there's resiliency and there's hope. That was the word we were hearing on Saturday in Tampa, that there was hope. How do you think that is going to pan out as you guys are, statistically underdogs maybe, but that everything kind of goes out the window when it comes to playoffs?
100%. And I think hope was good for Saturday. After that kind of made you feel better about the loss in a way. And it worked, and we got in, so hope's gone. We got to go execute. That's what it comes down to, the playoffs, and that's why it's so fun. It's so competitive everywhere you go. When you look at matchups just across the AFC, NFC, like it is. That's why football is the greatest sport. It truly is. Who's the best team for 3 hours, and who's going to stick together? Who's going to raise in the face of adversity? Like, big moments are going to happen. How are you going to handle those? And also expect to make your own big moment. Expect you're going to go make the play and make that game-changing moment, and that's what it's about. You got to visualize that, and there's hope's gone in the playoffs. It's time to attack.
I love what he said. Hope is gone. Now we have to execute. That's exactly what has to happen for the Panthers if they want to get this win today. 45 minutes to kick, guys.
All right, I'm going to send it back to the field to our co-host Logan Campbell. Logan, I need a prediction, but I also need you to tell me, how's the kicking game going down there in warm-ups? It's so windy.
Oh, Nick, well, the weather is sure going to have a factor in this one. Both the Rams kicker and Ryan Fitzgerald out here taking kicks. Both of them have missed from the 40-yard line. We'll see what will happen. But Matthew Stafford 1-9 in weather-implicated games. I have 24-21 Panthers.
Right side.
All right, Julian, your prediction.
Yeah, well, home field advantage matters in the playoffs. So does experience. I think the Rams clearly are the more talented team, have potentially the MVP quarterback in Matthew Stafford, but I think Carolina makes enough plays to get this one done. I'm going 30-27 Panthers.
Wow, all right, here we go.
I think
Danielle, pressure's on.
that 3-point margin is exactly what we're looking for again, because the way that they've been able to drive down the field and get that game winner, I feel like it could happen once again. We'll give it to the rookie kicker, Ryan Fitzgerald, who's been awesome all year long. I'm going with that same score, 31-28.
Don't make me the bad guy. Don't make me the bad guy. All right.
Save the graphic.
The Cam Newton moment is going to be magical. The party is going to be fantastic. This is a cathartic day for the Carolina Panthers, who find themselves in this position a year before I think anybody who works in the big offices in this building.